had the opportunity to hike Joffre Lake Provincial Park earlier in November. I headed out with a couple of friends. This was by far the most rewarding hike that I've ever done before. So from the parking lot and the highway, the trail rose about 500 meters, and I just watched the snow and ice of my surroundings become more abundant. I love how the mist is just like so still. And I love how the mud is frozen so it doesn't get me dirty. It was a striking contrast between the mainland of the city of Vancouver, where I've been staying these past few months, where it's actually been so warm. I've never had this warm of a winter, and getting the chance to experience snow on my schedule was such a treat. Being from Ontario, I'm pretty accustomed to seeing snow in November, and on this sunny morning, I felt at home in this deep wilderness. Not that the wilderness was any type similar. There was this white rose-looking flower growing out of lower Joffre Lake, which was so peculiar to me and magical. Just one single one, and it looked like it was thriving. The trees were gigantic compared to what I've ever seen. The mountains, the climb, the rocks, it was quite the experience. That's like a calendar. There's our trail. Even the way the snow was forming on the rocks, it was just so crystallized and different than what I'm used to. So this trail is popular and often traveled, as it's only a few hours outside of Vancouver and near Pemberton, BC, and the views are legendary. We passed lower, middle, and upper Joffre Lake, where the water is a fantastical turquoise color, only seen through the patches of melted ice at this time of year. It gets this color due to rock flour or glacial silt that is suspended in the water. The lakes reflect green and blue wavelengths of sunlight, and I noticed this the most at the middle lake, where the sun was hitting it just perfectly, and even the snow that rested on the top of the lake sparkled like I've never seen before. It glittered red, yellow, purple, and green. I was able to see any color I imagined. It was so picturesque, and I only wish I could record the exact atmosphere I felt there through the lens of my camera, but it just can't be done. During this 3-hour hike, the snow got fluffier around us until the top, where everything was completely covered and the lake was frozen. It had only just started to melt. The change was swift. As certain areas were exposed to the sun, they started to melt very quickly. The stairs on this hike were particularly treacherous. I think through erosion and the weather changing, you know, it freezes a lot up there, but during the summer it's like all melted, and I don't know, after many years, I think the stairs just get to start getting pushed flat against the mountains. So a lot of the stairs were kind of tilted forward, and that is just so dangerous on the way down, where they were covered in ice and that had been melting throughout the day, and it was hard to see. So, and you could never really tell that they're like, or which ones are good. And so it was just treacherous. They luckily did have some ropes along the scarier areas, so you could hold onto the rope and lead yourself down the steeper areas. And it was definitely a test for my hiking boots. And I ended up falling twice. Only once hard. The other time I just like casually slid down like I meant to do it, right? These trees are so tall. The entire day, it was just so bright because of the snow and the sunlight. Pretty much we just had the green trees to look at, and that made this effect of a Technicolor kaleidoscope glittering snow even so much more. Once we got to the top of the mountain, not quite the peak of the mountain. We saw even further trails going up further, but we didn't continue past the small little campsite patchy area basically outside of all the trees. And once we were there, I was able to see my first glacier, which was really cool. It was like bright blue ice that was covered in snow. I really hope if I ever decide to do this trail again, it's still there and that it's just as magnificent as it was. So we were really lucky to get all the sun on that day. It has been pretty great in Vancouver, so we were just particularly lucky. The way the mountains in the distance were just so bright as they were hit by sun, it just felt like the world was so big. Along the way, we saw a lot of different wooden carved animals and faces in the trees that had been added over time, and I loved the character that this gave the trail. But as the day grew on, it had definitely got a lot more gray. We could see the snow rolling in at the peaks of the mountains, and the sun disappeared here and there. It got super windy, and the way down definitely took a lot longer than the way up, which might inspire me to get some new equipment for my next mountaineering adventure.
Oh my god, I got my shoe. No. Oh. It's 300 meters. Yeah. That reflection.
And that was my Winter Wonderland adventure for the day. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.
Swimming.